Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Poor Things, starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, and Rami Youssef, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Now, I have seen the movie twice, and before I get into it, I'm gonna just say this up top before I get into the movie. I I'm not gonna bring this up during the movie, but I'm gonna just say this now. Whatever I think of this movie, the production design and set decoration of the movie is beyond fantastic, and I think the Oscar should give that trophy to this movie, the production design and set decoration. So I'm gonna just say that for now, because I don't think I'm gonna bring it up at all during the rest of the show. But I still think it looks phenomenal when we get to the coloring sequence. But you'll see what I mean. Let's get into the movie. We open the titles of the movie kind of funny in a strange way, as there's words on top and sides, bottom of the screen, and which is random for sure, but it also looks artsy, which I didn't mind too much as we start the movie with Bella Baxter, played by Emma Stone, committing suicide before she becomes the person this whole movie, which was random for sure, as she plays the piano rather horribly as Dr. Godwin Baxter, played by Willem Dafoe, comes in and he gives me a Frankenstein vibe throughout the movie as he feeds this misunderstood woman. As the score from the trailer comes on, there will be times I thought the score was a little distracting, but it doesn't happen yet, but it will later in the film. While we see ducks' heads on a dog or dog's head on a duck, and Godwin does another Frankenstein experiment, and we meet Max McCandles, played by Remy Youssef, who believes he's a brilliant surgeon, and as they walk, there was a fish lens shot, which looked rather odd, as director Yorgos Lanthimos has this obnoxious habit, like he did in The Favorite, of using fish lens almost too often. Max and Bella call Max meets Bella and calls her. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Retard, as I have something against that word. I'm not gonna explain it. As he studies her, as she breaks things left to right, like valuables, for example, plates and vases, while she stabs a dead man's eyeballs, which gave me a phobia of eyeballs, even more painful than ever. While Max asks Godwin where did Bella come from, and Godwin and Bella have a good life as he tries to protect her, and he calls her an orphan. And the shots in black and white are well done, as it won't be this entire movie. It's just, I believe, like the first 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. And the movie is well made, but director Yorgos Lanthimos has a real bad habit with what I just brought up before. Not just the fish lens shots, but the score in certain scenes did kind of bother me from the get go, for example. When and Max go upstairs on the roof, and you notice there's a scar on the back of her neck, and Bella wants to go outside, and she seems rather spoiled. That hell, I want to throw her out or put her in timeout for that kind of behavior. And the score in those scenes are just distracting me. And I do like the acting, as it is very well done, in my opinion. Bella goes outside, and Godwin and Max, and here we go again with this obnoxious fish lens shots, excuse me, as there were most times it would annoy me for half the movie, I'll say. Bella, Godwin, and Max have a picnic outside, and as a storm approaches, while Bella wants to look outside and wants some ice cream, but Godwin says no, and she goes ballistic with Godwin, and he puts her to sleep. When they get back, they strip Bella naked while lying in a bed. And there's a lot of weird shit going on in this movie, and there were times it would make me uncomfortable. Max asks Godwin where did she come from, as he tells about the opening suicide, as she was dead, but Godwin found her and he resurrected her like he's Dr. Victor Frankenstein while she was pregnant. And he reanimated her as he like Frankenstein as he takes her brain out and wakes her up like Frankenstein did to his monster, as this was feeling very familiar, and I didn't mind going that route, but you're taking serious risks doing another remake of Frankenstein. And there's one coming out in February called Lisa Frankenstein, and calling it And the only difference is those, instead of Frankenstein, this movie is calling it Poor Things. Bella wakes up and puts a cucumber up her privates and pretends to masturbate. And I thought, what the fuck is going on here? As this movie does earn its R rating for sexual reasons, obviously, as she doesn't want to eat anything, as he makes noises, and like he did earlier in the film, in order to make a bubble while Godwin witnesses Max having feelings for Bella and asks him to marry her. Well, she does some weird sexual stuff which weirded me out as well as creeps me the fuck out. Max proposes to Bella as Godwin asks for them to live with Godwin, as we get an introduction to Duncan Wedderburn, played by Mark Ruffalo, to Godwin as well as Bella, and he hits on her as he later that very night climbs up her window while masturbating, and they meet on the top of the roof while they watch fireworks, and Duncan has no self-respect, and I get the impression he's taking advantage of Bella. For example, he takes her to Lisbon behind Godwin and Max's back, and she talks with Godwin about running off on her own. And same goes with Max. Well, he demands for Bella to stay with Godwin and Max himself as she kisses him and knocks him out. And I thought, why the fuck would she do that? As there's times the movie's bothering me the hell out of me at best. Bella goes off with Duncan and have a shit ton of sexual intercourse while in Lisbon, and we get to the color as the cinematography looks beautiful and the production design and set decoration look beautiful as well. I mean, seriously, absolutely beautiful. Bella goes outside to explore as Duncan is worried sick about her, and they go out to dinner, and it gets awkward while we hear a baby cry, and Bella almost punches the baby, but Duncan has words with her to the point he hurts Bella, and she slaps him in the face, which deservedly so, as Duncan comes off very unlikable. Max is led to believe Bella is fucking Duncan, as he's devastated while Bella has a ton of shots to drink as she passes out and comes back, and she runs into someone who thinks her name is Victoria and speaks rudely to her about. And the performances are very good, don't get me wrong, they really are. Bella hears the music and starts dancing while Duncan comes in for her, and they dance kind of funky. And that scene was actually funny to me, as both times I saw this, the audience was laughing at mostly the dialogue, but I was busting my ass off laughing while Duncan comes off too overprotective and beats up on a couple of people. One winking at Bella and one dancing with her, while Duncan beats himself on a table and cries about it, which comes off unnecessary. But it's just too long, as this is a long movie at 2 hours and 21 minutes, and I felt every minute of it both times I saw the movie. Meanwhile, Godwin falls down as he has cancer, and this came off weirdly to me. Bella wakes up the next morning as Duncan puts her in a suitcase, which is totally unsafe, and they're on a boat, and Bella is upset about it, and she eventually gets over it and walks around the boat, and the ship's captain kills a bird that took a shit on him. And we're now on the ship as Bella has a conversation with an elderly lady named Martha, who hasn't been fucked in 20 years, and an African American named Harry, who comes off kind at first, but at the end of this segment, he comes off like a prick. As Duncan wants to marry Bella, but she says no because she's engaged to Max, while he and Godwin have a new experiment named Felicity, who's played by an actress, Margaret Qualley, who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with the hairy armpits. Here, this is a different character, and she's kind of funny to me. Bella is sitting and reading with Martha, and Harry throws out both of their books into the water, and Duncan really comes off like a prick asshole as he drinks and loses heavily. And I'm thinking, this motherfucker is a jackass, and calls Martha a problem as he threatens to throw her overboard. But Duncan gets a word from the captain, which is random for damn sure. Bella hangs out with Harry and tells him she's not a mean person, as like I brought up, she's misunderstood. While Duncan gambled some more, and they arrive in Alexandria, and Bella learns from Harry the world is cruel, which it is, don't get me wrong, as he shows her dead babies, which made her cry, or makes her cry, and Duncan wins money from gambling, and Bella gives it to the people of Alexandria, and as Duncan runs out of money to pay for the ship, unfortunately, Bella explains her situation to him, and he's pissed off, and a crew member sends the captain and drops him off at Paris, France. Duncan is pissed off, takes her money, and leaves her alone while she works as a stripper and fucks many men as which some of these scenes maybe could be cut in some ways because like I said, this movie is too long and I feel it dragging. Bella continues to work as a stripper and once again fucks too many men. For example, she has one with a couple of boys to learn more about sex education while she fucks men that are distasteful, while her boss has a grandbaby and tests them with a joke after some men tell her about their childhood, which is amusing. And so funny things, and some induce funny things to her for her while going to surgeon school to see how surgery works. But I feel the movie dragging quite a bit during this segment. And as it's all about sex with a stripper, Duncan begs Bella to come back to him, but she refuses and goes to her as she tells him to go home. Well, meanwhile, Godwin and Max tests Felicity with her language, and Max performs a brief surgery, learning Godwin is dying, and asks Max to find her, and by her I mean Bella, while her boss tells everyone they're her favorite. And so far, what I'm talking about could be cut out of the movie, and the score did feel misplaced at times. Honestly, it really did during the movie, like when Bella's boss fucks Bella in her own way, which feels way too fucking weird. Max and Godwin finds Duncan in Paris with as Max goes to him asking where Bella is at, and he comes off fucking aggressive while Duncan farts and I and then I kept getting distracted by the damn fish lens, which makes the scenes look funny in a strange way. Bella gets a letter from Max and Godwin, learning Godwin is dying, and Bella goes back to London to see how he's doing, and he confesses where he found her all this time, while Max wanted to tell Bella for the longest time, but he couldn't, and she meets Felicity and walks out while calling Godwin and Max monsters. As she walked out, the score in that scene was very distracting, in my opinion, but I did like seeing the London in color this time. Bella talks with Max about her whoring around in Paris, and he agrees to marry Bella as she asked him to, and they get married until Duncan comes in with someone. Duncan, as they learn Bella was married to Alfie, as her real name before she died was Victoria, like was called earlier in the movie, which came off as a shock. And she ends up going with him as he with her husband, she with her husband. And I can't believe this moment of the film, as I'm going to call her Bella for the rest of the film, and I'm not checked out completely far from it. But the next segment might go on a little for a bit too long. Bella goes home with Alfie while he treats his butlers and Bella like shit. And I'm having a hard time believing they were married, and honestly, no wonder she left his ass a long time ago before she committed suicide, as I wouldn't want to be with this motherfucker to begin with, as he threatens to shoot her if she leaves the house, which comes off troubling, and he comes off like an asshole. As the next day comes, Bella overhears Alfie saying he will kill her, and she decides to leave, and he calls her territory, his territory at best, and explains what will happen as she wants to leave, and he offers her a martini as she knows it's poisoned, and she throws it at his face and shoots him in the foot. And she goes to Max and gives him surgery and chases him into a goat. And Godwin ends up dying as the next day comes and she has a drink with Felicity and her friend from Paris. And this climax made me think, what the fuck? As this movie is all about, and as I don't get what the point of it was, and I don't get what to think by the time the movie was over, as this is all very fucking random. Let me just explain in the rating. I'll give this movie a 5.0 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, the movie is well acted, well shot without the fish lens, and well made, but the movie, in my opinion, is very fucking weird. And there were times I thought, what the fuck, almost too often, as it just creeped me out to the point it made me uncomfortable. And it bothered the hell out of me half to death after seeing it both times. The cinematography was beautiful, and the production design and set decoration should probably get the Oscar. Believe me, I'm really thinking that. When we get to the color, which was about 40 minutes into the movie, which was absolutely beautiful, while I was getting Frankenstein vibes off with the Willem Dafoe character, as the actors were tremendous in their performances. But I don't know if I like these characters. If I like these characters, with an exception of Mark Ruffalo, as he came off like very unlikable, the movie was weird, as it is a middle of the road for me, as it is better made than Man of Steel and Yorgos Lanthimos' previous films at best, as this may be the best looking movie director Yorgos Lanthimos could do as far as the director goes, as this is quite the middle of the road for me. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I like this movie or do I dislike the movie. But at the end of the day, it was fine. And that's the best I could do as far as my rating goes. Like, I don't know what to think of this movie at the end of the day. It's like I like it and I don't. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this Yorgos Lanthimos retrospective. And until we ever get another one,